Hello, everyone. President Pat Martell, board members, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and humility that I stand before you today as your next Executive Director of ICMA. I want to thank the board for choosing me to serve in this tremendous capacity of Executive Director. I can't think of anything that I would rather be doing. As your new Executive Director, I fully recognize and appreciate that I stand and assume this responsibility standing on the shoulders of those great and now legendary individuals who have held this position in the past, beginning with Clarence Ridley in 1929, Orrin Nolting in 1956, Marc Keane in 1967, William Hansel in 1983, and of course, Robert O'Neill, we know him as Bob, beginning in 2002. Each of these individuals brought and applied unique leadership and executive abilities right for the times, while always being mindful of the future and driven by a singular commitment to creating excellence in local government. As a result of their efforts and thousands of members over the years, ICMA is recognized worldwide as the premier local government leadership and management organization. As I prepared myself to speak to you today, I thought about my own journey in this great profession, which spans more than 30 years. In doing so, I realized that I actually set out on this path as a young boy growing up in the projects of Pontiac, Michigan. Being born in the projects doesn't make me unique or special. There are many that can say the same. However, as you might imagine, at that time, I was unaware of city management, and I had no meaningful knowledge about the workings of local government, the impact it actually had on our daily lives and the lives of those around us. Of course, as we all know in this room, government does impact our lives, and local government does in ways that affects the very quality of our lives on a daily basis. In those early days, segregation for African Americans was as much a part of daily life as anything else, or so it seemed to the young boy that I was at the time. Even then, I could see that some things were just not for us. It was probably most apparent to me on any given summer Sunday afternoon when my father would take us for a drive through the suburbs of Detroit. As we drove through the neighborhood streets of West Bloomfield, Birmingham, Grosse Pointe, and other high-end neighborhoods, I remember sitting in the back seat with my face pressed against the window, looking at all of the beautiful houses with affluent families playing and working in their well-manicured yards. I wondered to myself what it would be like to live like that, and why we nor anyone else that I knew didn't. Every now and then, I glimpsed that same wonderment in the eyes of my parents. In my neighborhood and others like ours, there were indeed happy times, although they were frequently interrupted by the challenges often present in some urban neighborhoods where some people struggled to make ends meet, and at times resorted to a range of street vice as a lifestyle and a means to additional income. Nothing in that environment came close to the quality of life I saw and wondered about during those Sunday afternoon drives, not for us or anyone that I knew. I really didn't understand why. I only knew that I wanted something more. If I could find a way to better the quality of my life, then perhaps I could help others. I remember thinking, learn the rules to the game. Game, you say? Why not? I was a kid, and that was my answer. That was the way to something more, to a better quality of life for me, and perhaps the opportunity to help others. Of course, learning the rules meant getting an education, and I thought specifically it meant becoming a lawyer. Well, I didn't become a lawyer, but I did go to college, first earning an undergraduate degree followed by an MPA. During my last semester of graduate school, I undertook an internship with a city administrator in Southfield, Michigan by the name of Dale Borksdorf. Until that time, I had been unaware of city management per se and city managers. I thought mayors were responsible for all city operations. As you might imagine, Detroit Mayor Coleman Young loomed pretty large in those days. I soon learned that that was not the case in many cities, and Southfield, Michigan was one of them. The internship was a great and eye-opening experience for me. I learned many things about myself and about how the city works, or in other words, the rules. Aside from finding that I had a knack for the things that I was called upon to do, I realized for the first time the profound effect that city government, local government, has on the daily lives of people. Given my education and the opportunity to serve in this great profession, I could find a way out. Not just for me, but through city management, I would have the opportunity to serve and improve the lives of others. I was committed. Since making that commitment many years ago, I have been privileged to serve citizens at the local government level in cities that were relatively small to one of the largest council manager cities in the country, Austin, Texas. Like you, I have continued to be both a student and practitioner of local government leadership and management, focused on applying my education, my life experience, and the knowledge and skills that one acquires and hones over the years as we move from one community and position to the next. And through it all, in the past and now, there has always been ICMA. During times of economic depression, we are there. During times of war, even when the world seemed on the brink of self-annihilation, we were there. As our country struggled to embrace the righteousness of the civil rights movement, we were there and engaged. When natural disasters have devastated our cities and counties, we are there and the first to respond. When some of our cities have struggled with the impacts of urban sprawl, inadequate revenues, reduced programs and services, and deteriorating infrastructure, we are there. And wherever there is an interest in, and whenever there are challenges to, the council manager form of government, ICMA has always been there. Many things have changed over the years. Today, everything is changing and at a rate that challenges government at every level. Even as individuals, many of us have felt the anxiety of being left behind in a world where an uncertain future seems far more present than the past and any given moment at hand. And at the heart of it all are changing societal values driven by rapidly changing demographics and advances in technology so powerful that we are capable of transforming almost any aspect of our lives. For over a century, ICMA has been at the forefront of excellence in local government. That mission remains relevant and couldn't be more important than it is today. As an organization and as managers of local governments, we must lead away from old systems and bureaucratic structures that have seen their day and don't adequately respond to the challenges of the 21st century. Transforming local government will require that we embrace the challenges before us and have the capacity to lead our profession as we redefine city management and build sustainable communities to improve lives worldwide. And so this morning, I want you to know that I'm excited that I'm forever committed, and that I look forward to the great work we will do in the years ahead. I want to step away from the podium for just a minute because I thought, rather than that closing, I would take this opportunity to share with you a question that I was asked during the interview process and the answer that I gave. The question was, what are you most proud of, and who do you give the credit? And my answer was, I was most proud of having been appointed and given the opportunity to serve as city manager in Austin, Texas. It was, for me, the pinnacle of my career. I had aspired one day when I made that commitment to have the opportunity to try to provide leadership to one of America's premier cities, and I think Austin qualifies. And the other part of the question was, who do you give credit? And I said to the board, I said, my parents. I said, especially my mother, because she was always there. Now, my parents didn't have the benefit of an education like I have and like I'm sure all of you have. My father graduated from high school, and my mother didn't finish high school. But they always stressed the importance of education, and they supported our efforts, my efforts, to get an education, to find a way out. And my mother passed away about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, but before she passed, my family and I had the privilege of having her come stay with us in Austin, Texas. She came from Pontiac and came and stayed with us in the month of December, stayed through the holidays past the first of the year, and as you might imagine, as you would do with your own parent, you were showing them around your town. I was doing that, Pam and I and the kids. And on one day, it was just she and I. And we were driving around and I was showing her things, and I realized that I had not taken her to City Hall. Imagine that. I hadn't taken her to City Hall yet. So I did. And City Hall, if some of you have seen City Hall, it's a beautiful City Hall, and it's situated in a beautiful space in the heart of downtown across from Lady Bird Lake. And so I was showing her around, and City Hall doubles as an art gallery, so she got to see the art that was in City Hall as well. And finally, we made it to the 3rd floor, which is where my office is. And we went in, and my mother walked in, and she was kind of looking around at everything, and she was looking big, beautiful windows that allowed you to see the vista across the street, the Long Center and the lake. And while she was doing that, I turned to go look for something. I realized I needed to pick something up. And so I turned to do that, and as I was searching for whatever it was, my office seemed really quiet, almost as though there was nobody in there but me. And so I turned around to see what my mother was doing, and when I caught her face, what I saw were tears coming down her eyes. And you can imagine my initial instinct was to turn around and say, Mom, what's wrong? But in that next second, I understood. She was proud. As I told that story, in response to the question that I was asked, I remembered another occasion. Many years ago, I was a boy still. And it was on one of those days when the stress and tension of the street had been brought into our house, and my father had left. And I went to go look for my mother, and I found her in the bedroom. She was sitting on the bed, and I could see that she was upset. And I was just a boy, and I walked over and I put my hand on hers, and I said, Mom, it's going to be all right. I said, I promise you, one day you're going to join me on a great occasion. Well, if you will permit me a moment of personal privilege, I would like to say, hey, Mom, this is it. She was proud, and I'm proud to be in this position, to serve this great organization, to serve all of you. I truly believe that together, the future is as bright as we choose to make it. Thank you all very much.